Hey, everybody. Welcome to Accounts 2.0, our next podcast. This is our second one. And today we're going to focus on some of the blogs we've been posting, and it's our steps for becoming a new age accountant. And today's step one, we're going to be talking about best in breed technology and integrations. Um, with me today is our president, as you may know, Ted Williamson. And I'm going to get right into the philosophy. And then Ted, you're going to have some real life solutions, interactions, and people that can help provide some of these best in breed solutions. So I'll get right into it. So the idea of becoming a new age accountant in our Accountants 2.0 philosophy is about technology being the baseline or the platform to take you forward. You could be the best service provider in the world and provide the best customer service on a one-on-one basis. But if you don't have the time or there's other demands for your operational inefficiencies, even then you're going to create gaps in your service. We can go right to the beginning. If you're running an accounting firm now and you have any PC-based software, some of the older workarounds, is like the philosophy is that's the way we've always done it. And you have some key personnel acting as the glue, trying to keep it all together. That is not only is that not a sustainable way of doing things, it's certainly not scalable. To add more capacity is a challenge. And that's the problem that a lot of accounting firms have is taking on new clients, onboarding, and all that complexity added on to the already existing workload. It almost makes you want to like turn customers away. And that's not a way to want to run your business. So right off the bat, you have to do some, I call it technological soul searching, really make a commitment to say, look, I'm going to use the latest and greatest. I'm going to make that investment. I'm going to take the time to figure out what works for my business and do some research. Right off the bat, baseline is you got to go cloud. I mean, if you're not seeing that now, that is something you really got to get your head around. Two reasons. Cloud-based technology releases you from any hardware dependencies on your site. You can have just baseline hardware at your office locations, as well as it allows for remote management of staff, as well as remote management of clients. Having people come in for appointments when it's not absolutely necessary is not where you want to be, because again, it takes time. Every hour in the day spent managing inconsistencies in your technology base is time lost that could be spent in sales or providing the excellent customer service that you want to provide. For example, even the base accounting packages, they're all cloud-based now, all the major players. Ted, from your experience, that transition is the most important one right off the bat, correct? Like
Yeah, absolutely. So like if we look at, I guess, the way or why jump into cloud accounting or newer technologies, looking at history, you could scale with desktop technology. You could, but you had a ton of people coming out of universities who were accountants. They went into accountants to become CPAs, CGAs at the time. And you were able to find labor very, very easily. And then the clients didn't really care what you were on. They just took your recommendation. Now technology and the platforms that we use are client driven. A lot of that was driven by accountants who were working with Xero and QuickBooks to move people onto the cloud. But now that so many people have, the clients are the ones who are actually wanting us to go onto the cloud and wanting us to use software that integrates and is more efficient. So if you're not jumping into that type of software, you're falling behind. So you're not being progressive, I guess. You need to be progressive in order to grow. Some accountants still don't want to grow, so they're fine, but they're the ones that were losing clients, but they're ready to retire or whatever. But wouldn't you rather exit your firm rather than just let it fizzle away? As you retire, you can get an income from your retirement, things like that. So I guess I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but there's basically moving into newer technology is vital for any accounting firm to grow or to scale. We don't have the access to staff like we used to. We have to, in a lot of cases, a lot of firms have to outsource in order to make up the capacity to bring on new clients so that they can make the living that they want to make. In order to do that, you need software. And people worry about the security and the privacy and things like that, but remember that cloud software is built by larger companies than we are, and their security is paramount to their success. Where if you have on-premise software and on-premise servers, you are much more susceptible to a security breach than you are if you had a cloud software from $1 billion company.
Also, auditable transactions. Cloud-based platforms intrinsically have transaction audits, access audits. End to end who's logged in or what user is logged in, as well as I always recommend, minimum of two-factor authentication, so that just handing out the password and someone accessing in roles that they're not part of their operations, that's just not the way to conduct a tight business. One thing that I'd like to point out is, with the movement towards cloud-based accounting, like large corporations, you end up creating silos within your organization potentially, because you have to look at the use of the cloud-based accounting solution, but also its integrative capabilities. How does it integrate with your communication systems? How does it integrate with your document transfer and sending? How does it integrate with your communication with your customers as well as internally? So those are other factors that you have to consider. You can't just say, oh, I have QuickBooks online now and I'm using that, all good. Well, you're still sending emails. You're still having to store documents. What are you doing? Where are you putting those PDFs? How is that being managed? Also, how do you show, like if you have difficult clients or clients that demand almost a transactional communication, how do we deal with that? And so that nothing falls through the cracks, because you don't want to have that request languish for 2 weeks, and then then that could lose you the client. A lot of clients, a lot of things I hear is, oh, I don't use this account anymore because they never got back to me, even on the simplest question. So you want to be almost automate your responses. Just say, hey, we got it. Now we're on it. So they managing expectation. So
yeah, not just that, but it protects you, right? Like it protects you, from your communication. Working with your client, having an audit of your actual communications with that client, and an audit, or I guess not an audit, but the ability to review their, the history of communications, the history of due dates, and and the actual tasks that were performed on them. So when a client is saying something, it protects us, right? It's when a client is saying something like, I haven't heard anything or nothing's been done, we can look up their file and say, we've put in 10 hours on this file already, and you've contacted us 3 times and we've replied every time. So I don't know what you're talking about. And then I've actually had clients try to pull that, because clients, not everybody is that ethical, and we would bring that up and we'd actually send them we'd actually send them a PDF or a document showing all of the communications. They'd be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, and then we would actually turn that relationship right around. So which is huge too. So having the communications integrated and having an actual online type of environment to be able to manage your clients, your firms, and your clients' books and actual work itself, I think is super important, especially if you're scaling. You need all of that information in order to make sure, to make decisions, to make sure things are running properly. It's very difficult to do so without being able to see it.
Well, it also brings trust. They trust that you are on the ball, accurate. It's almost like our intrinsic distrust actually creates trust because we're documenting everything. But and actually that, and that, again, it can be turned around saying, look, we'll remind you of what you wanted, we'll remind you of what you stated, because we want to fulfill what you desire as far as your customer requests. So here's what you asked, and now it's done. That kind of good stuff. So yes, it is a background protection of your reputation, your firm, but at the same time, it's a helper. You're helping them because especially a lot of business people honestly don't remember making requests at certain times because they make the request while running into the car and on the phone, and then they forgot that they requested it. So that good
Yep.
stuff. Uh, so Ted, so beyond the accounting solutions, what what type of support is out there technologically um, for that purpose? Like is there and again, best in breed platforms or services that you've used that you like um, that could help our friends here listening and watching, help them do a little research or set them in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, first of all, Zero is one of our favorite partners that we work with. Zero is awesome to for the ledger, obviously, and then QuickBooks Online, very very popular in North America, and replacing QuickBooks Desktop. A lot of people don't like to replace the QuickBooks Desktop, but eventually, desktop's going to be gone, guys. So get on the ball, get on it, and start moving forward. But so that's just for our regular ledger and bookkeeping. Now, looking at some other things, like getting into a little bit larger companies, we're looking at ERP. What are some good online, decent ERPs? You can look at things like Acumatica or even Sage Intacct to make sure that you have that online experience and you're creating efficiencies. And then we like for manufacturing companies, we like to use an MRP called Katana. We actually used that one with a couple clients, and they've enjoyed it. So they went right from NetSuite into that. NetSuite isn't bad, but it has its place. But Katana ended up saving them so much money and time. They were so thrilled when we put them on Katana. It was amazing. Another thing, so some industry specific software. There's a ton of them out there, but so like ones that we like to use, like we used to work with service companies a lot, so we would use something like Jobber, Homebase, or House Call Pro, and Service Titan. So these are some pretty good ones, but that's more for service based. When you get into legal, like there's a million apps. So I've reviewed and looked at over 300 apps in the accounting space and supporting apps for clients. And it's just too many. So you can definitely come and check out our site. As we grow our community, we're going to try to make it easy for you to find best in class application software services so that you can help grow your firm and grow your clients.
Well, great. It's like I said, I'm going to call you the task, maybe a later publication associated with this, and as well as the blog Step One, Best in Breed. We'll have a hit list of maybe your top 20 that you've looked at, and that people can research and look at themselves. We don't want to force anyone down any channels, but at the same time, there are those that you've been exposed to with your experience, and you have an opinion on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're totally agnostic, except when it comes to our direct competition, right? Because we do sell something, right? So,
Yeah,
but doesn't mean that we're against plugging them if they do something better than we do. So we're agnostic. We're about community and creating the best solution for the community and for partners within it. So we're totally not going to push you in one direction or another.
even though our
But I do.
solutions and the service we provide is all encompassing for your marketing, right to the from first contact to maintaining that contact.
Yeah, we don't just fill your pipeline; we fill your capacity. But
Yes.
anyway, we won't get into that. We're not trying to sell
No.
ourselves.
Nope.
But so I do want to talk about a couple other ones. So, and the reason why is because there are some that I've in Canada. There's one partner that we work with called Wagepoint, and I want to talk about them because they're a great example of how to quickly, automate, work with small to medium sized enterprises, and create a solution that, like, almost removes you from the equation, but you're able to still monetize from it and have a professional service. when Wagepoint came into Canada, much like Gusto in the US, Wagepoint, almost dominated. So ADP kind of, for when it came to small companies, ADP was kind of like the bigger player, and Wagepoint just came in and just took up all the small clients. They had a really good working relationship with accountants, and so so they were wonderful. Another one that I see emerging, which services North America now, is Countable. And Countable is great for year ends,
Hmm.
and so not necessarily working specifically on client accounts, but well, you are working on their accounts, but helping your with your actual work itself. So those two are very, very important. So Countable almost automates the year end process for um, for reviews, for compilations, and hopefully audits in the near future. So these are some really great tools that you can look at. I'm not just trying to plug these people. I really want people to see that there's some stuff out there that they can really benefit from.
Well, that's great. Now my exposure is not as direct with relationships with Accounts 2.0, but I do get exposed to Wagepoint's marketing and their interaction and their presence. They do have the depth on a lot of levels to form great relationships with their partners, and I'm always looking forward to experiencing more of that as we as the quarters march on. So
Yeah.
so basically, and my focus too, Ted, with our clients and the partners that we work with is still on integration. And the my I guess my philosophy is you have to open the playing field to allow for opportunity. By doing this, everyone, making sure you have not only cloud-based accounting platforms that allow for versatility and flexibility for your staff and your clients. The again, the integration to communication tools, and and not only is it an example for your client, showing that you're best in breed user of marketing and stuff. Like you said, you set an example. Um, if your client is a cutting edge, forward thinking client trying to sell something new or innovative, if you're not that, you're not aligned with them, and so you really can't really service them philosophically, and then you're not going to help their bottom line. You'll just be an order taker, doing their taxes, doing their books. You want to be more than that. You really want to be a partner. So that's why I believe the best in breed philosophy for a new age accountant is critical.
Well, yeah. Well, you don't just integrate their software; you integrate yourself into their firm, right? Into their company, because, well, first of all, that's going to build a great relationship. If you have, all of your technology is integrated in, and you're managing and helping them with it. Now you have trust built. You have all of these things. You're ingrained into their business, and you have staying power with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're more likely to work with each other if something does go wrong, to help each other out to resolve those issues. When if you're just arm's distance with them, working on their stuff from some whole or some office with some desktop thing, they just drop off their information every so often. You're you're just a number to them,
You're
just
replaceable.
like, yeah, and then they're just a number to you. They're just, at that point, they're just money. There's not relationship. There's just, I need to do their year end. I make, $2,500 from their year end, and so, and then I go from there.
Right.
And that's that's not a sustainable solution these days. They expect more, especially with software, CFO services growing, advisory. You have to stay ahead, and you have to use technology to do that, or at least to help you do that, not necessarily to do it. Yeah.
And that touches on step two, which will be coming up, about making the client the center of everything and offering that flexibility. And you can only do it by figuring out step one, which is creating that technological base to provide that flexibility.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, folks, this was a great talk. Thanks, Ted. Always a pleasure when we have these discussions. Looking forward to the next one, which would be it is in a step two, which is making the client the center of all. Until that time, everyone have a great day, and see you next time.
Yeah. See you.